Assalamu alaikum, my name is Awab, and today I'll give you a brief explanation of our project Money Management System. Our program, Money Management System, written in C++, it helps user record, view, search, edit, and save financial transactions such as income and expense. The program also saves transaction to a file, so the data is not lost when the program is closed. Our key features is basically you can add transactions, you can view the transaction, you can search for the transaction, whether it's an income or expense, you can edit by modifying the existing records, and finally you can save and load the transactions saved in the file transaction.txt. So how the program works? The program runs in a loop and presents the user with a menu of options. Users can choose an option by entering a number. The program then performs the requested action. So the breakdown of the code, first we have the transaction class over here. This class represents a single transaction, either it's income or expense. So the type stores the whether it's an income or expense. The amount is the value of the transaction itself. The descriptions is additional details of the transaction. If you want to name that, if you want to name the transaction for something else to remember later, if like you want to name it food, groceries, transport, whatever you like, you can name it. Then you can remember it later, or you can search for it. So we have the constructor here. So basically, this initializes the new transaction, and our display method over here, it's basically shows you the displays for you the function or the transaction details. Sorry, my bad. So let's move on to the money manager class. This class manages all transactions and provide function for adding, viewing, searching, editing, saving, and loading the transactions. We have the private variable here. So basically, for this, the transactions or string is a list vector of transactions. The file name is the name of the file where the transaction is saved. Is basically the transaction.txt. This is the file where we store the our data, the transactions. So if you want to add the transaction over here, this transaction is added to the list. So if the file is called to store in the file, a confirmation message is displayed. It displays the message that the transaction is saved. That is. Okay, now let's show you how the program will look on the inside. Let me build and run the program really quick. There you go. So over here, obviously, there's the four main components or the four main features, key features, which are the add transaction, the view transaction, search, and edit. First, I'll show you the first two, which is the add and view the transactions. So if let's say we wanted to add a transaction, I'll click on one. It will ask me whether it's an income or an expense. Let's say it's an expense. It will also tell me to insert the amount. Let's say probably I spent 12, nah, let's say 20 ringgits. The description, you can say the description. I'll say it's for maybe snacks, maybe, or maybe food. It will say transaction added. Now, if I wanted to see the transaction, I'd simply press 2 to view the transactions, and it will show me all the previous transactions. Obviously, I did the multiple myself to check if the code works properly. So over here, you can see the most recent transaction, which is the food, which is the one we did earlier over here. So yeah, this is so far how you can add and view transactions. Thank you. So in this project, I helped my team with finalizing and polishing the code. If there's any errors, I could check. If there's any mistake in spelling everything, I could check to make the codes as clean and functional as possible. I also helped with the report. I wrote a big chunk of it. What I've learned from this subject is how to conduct or create a simple but effective program in C++, which is something I thought I would never do, and I'm happy for it. So the time that took me to complete the whole thing is a day and a half. Yeah, a day and a half. So, and the obstacles is the what do I say? Just to polish the code in general to make it look as clean as possible.
Everybody. I hope this is working. Okay. So hi, my name is Mustafa Gorashi. I'm Mustafa Gorashi, and I will start to explain how the project going work. In the beginning, you will see this kind of info, which is the output of the project, the system of money management. So we can, in the beginning, we can start here to choose which kind of things we can do it. Add transaction, view transaction, search transaction, or edit transaction. This is our choice for to all of the things that we need to do. So if we say to add one transaction, which is here, you'll find type the income or expense. Actually, let's say expense. Amount of room must be like about like 10 ringgit. Description was some food. The transaction have been added here, as you see. This transaction have been added about this all the information, description, amount, and also if you want to check, we can see to view transaction. You will find here the transaction ID, which is the first one actually, number one, and the amount is 10 ringgit, and like that. If we want to add in this transaction specific, which like we go with edit number four, the choice number four, ID number, which is one, name the tab, expense, but we can, yeah, do it expense. Now let's see, like I forgot, I didn't pay only 10 ringgit, I pay like about 50 ringgit. Let's say that will be 50 ringgit. New description, also about food. There is no change in this, only the amount. Transaction have been updated. If you want to check this transaction, here we will see you like view transaction. One ID here is change and leave. And also I want to say about the this actually project have been like helped me a lot in how to know all this information and try to make sure. This gave me the idea of the ability to use the C++ language and all this to create a new things, new activities, not new activities actually, new things to help the other people. And also this helped me in myself in project management, try to manage my time during the college and also during the work and all of that because this project have been take from me about 25 hour, yeah, 25 hour, like you can say day and 1 hour, not like continuously. It's actually about with hours because I have other subject, I have also the other exam, which is will be the my final exam. So I have to read also and study for that, so I can to manage the time for me to go is doing the work and also try to study my other subject. And also for this project, exactly the money management system, I do create the flow chart for visualize the program logos, and also design the use case diagram to define the interaction between the user and also the system. Thank you for your watch and have a nice day.
Hello everyone, my name is Shadi and today I will be presenting my part. So first thing first, what have I contributed to this project? So my main responsibility was handling the file operation and search functionality that includes implementing the search transaction function so users can filter transaction by type, uh, income or expense. Then I developed the load function which retrieves save transaction when the program starts. Then I create the save function which ensures all transactions are permanently stored in a file or transaction text. Now move on to what have I learned from this subject. The project helped me strengthen my understanding of file handling in C++, reading and writing files, and then oriented programming or shortened for OOP, concepts like classes and vectors. And then the subject had teach me how to debugging issues related to the input or output errors. So after that, how much time did I spend to develop my part? I spent around maybe 4 hours developing my part, include writing the functions, testing file handling, and debugging errors to ensure smooth data saving and retrieval. So, what are the obstacles I have faced during my project development? So, my obstacle is handling incorrect file data, which initially reading data from the file cause errors due to incorrect spacing in input. So I solve it by using getLine for descriptions. Then the obstacle is file corruption issues. At times, the transactions text file got corrupted. I fix this by ensuring the file is properly closed after every operation. And lastly, I incorrect transaction search result. Initially, the search function wasn't working properly due to case sensitivity. I improved it by making search case sensitive. So now let's move on to the codes. So now I will show you the the search transaction, which is from line 50 to 66. So the search transaction functions allow users to filter transactions based on type, income, or expense. This makes it easier to find specific transactions rather than going through all records manually. After that, the transaction, load transaction, this from line 85 to 94. So what these do, the load from file function ensures that transactions are not lost when the program is restarted. It loads all saved transaction from transaction text file into a memory when the program starts. And lastly, the save to file function from line 77 to 83. And what these do is the save to file function ensures that all transactions are permanently stored in a text file, so they are not lost when the program is closed. And what the text file is transaction .txt file. So that's all from me.
My name is Firhan Adam. I am the group leader of Group 1 and our project is about money and income managing system. Okay, first of all, I would like to answer the questions that have been provided in the guidelines. What have you contributed to the project, and explain the part which you have contributed to the project. I have contributed in making the slides, making the part of the code, separating the task for each, making sure all the reports are correct, and also making sure that all the jobs are done on time. What have I learned from the subject is that I learned how to use different criteria and different topics from the lectures into this project. Although it is hard at first, usually it takes practice, and I've learned a lot from it. How much time did I spend to develop my part? My part as a whole, like separating tasks, making sure everything is done on time, is throughout the entire duration of the project. But if we're talking about the coding, the report, and the presentation, it took me around 1 week, around 1 to 2 weeks, like that. What are the obstacles I faced during the development? Honestly, the main obstacle that I faced is during the coding part. I'm not a very good coder myself, but I have asked help from other teams and what they thought about our program, and how their recommendations and advice could help in our program. Now I will explain the add transaction feature for our program. Here is my part. This is our edit transition feature. And first of all, the transaction ID number here. Let me highlight it. The user enters the ID of the transaction they want to edit. That could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or etc. The second one is we need to validate the ID. If it's over here, if ID transaction. Okay. This ensure the ID exists in the transaction list, and if the ID is invalid, a new message invalid message is displayed. Our third part is this see out to get line. Now for this part, the user enters the new transaction type, new amount in ringgit, and the new description. That could be bills, food, or just income. It's entirely up to the user. Now the final part is the transaction here. The old transaction is replaced with a new one from the third part, and the data is saved to the file to ensure the persistent, and a confirmation message is displayed.
Hello and good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to Sir Ko Hui Hao. Today, I'm Nabahan from Group 1. Will present to you about our program, which is called Money and Income Managing System. So let me answer the question that have been asked in our project guideline. The first question is, what have you contributed to the project, and explain the part which you have contributed to the project. So for the explain part, I will do it later, at the end of the video. Right now, I will tell you about what have I contributed to the project. So I was in charge to create the code for the. So I was in charge in creating the code. But for this presentation, I will only explain the main function of the program. So let's move on to the next question. What have I learned from the subject? I think I gain a lot of knowledge from the subject, even though I have learned the subject before in my foundation year. But one of the knowledge that I have gained, I think, is object-oriented programming, which is OOP. I learned how to use classes and object to structure a program efficiently. Also, implementing encapsulation, inheritance, and polymorphism help in organizing the system better. So let's move on to the next question. How much time did I spend develop my part? So I don't think that I take a pretty long time. But I will say I take around 3 days or so. Uh, and I did some little changes in the following day. So the last question is what are the obstacles that I faced during my project during our project development? I think one of the challenge is that implementing object oriented programming concept effectively. Structuring the program using classes and ensuring proper data and scalation require extra effort, especially in managing multiple transactions efficiently. So I think that's one is the most challenging for me in during our project development. Okay, so now we are done. Let's move on to the explanation part of our program. So now we are done. Uh, let's move on to the explanation part of our program. Now we will move on to the code block, and I will explain to you about the main function. The main function is the heart of our program. It controls the flow of execution and allow user to interact with the system through a menu-driven interface. Okay, so when the program start, it automatically will load any previously saved transaction from a file called transaction .txt. This ensure that user don't lose their data when they restart the program. So here are the line that will load. This is the line that will automatically load any previously saved transaction. So next, the program will display a menu with 5 options, which is add transaction, view transaction, right here, search transaction, edit transaction, and exit and exit. Uh, this menu, this menu right here, is displayed in while loop. So which mean it will keep looping until the user decide to choose an option 5, which is exit. So after the user have entered their choices, uh, the things that will be the things that the program will do is if user choose option number 1 at transaction, they can add a transaction by entering its type, amount, and description. If user choose option number 2, uh, they can view all the store data of transaction. If the user choose option number 3, they can search for transaction by type, which is income or expense. In the number 4, edit transaction, they can modify an existing transaction by entering its ID and new details. And lastly, option number 5 is exit, so it will exit the program lah. So for choices, we use if statement to know what so user can choose their option lah. After performing the action that user did, the program will look back to display the menu again until the user press the exit button. Finally, when the user choose option 5, the program stops, and that's how the main function control the entire system. So now I will show you the outcome of our program. I will run the program and show you the outcome of the program. So right here, after after we run the code, we will greet by the main menu. As you can see right here, user can enter their choice, which is number. It's already specified right here. And we can just put number 1, 2, 3, or 4, and 5. So now let's try number 1. So the next thing the program will do is ask us what is the type that we want to add transaction in the file, which is income or expense. So right now, let's try income. Then the program will ask the amount of how much we want to put the money is. So let's say we put 3,000. So description, we can just write anything. We can put, for example, March salary, like that. So then they will say transaction edit right here. So now we know that we already add a new data to the program. So uh, now we try to choose option number 2. So we can view our uh, just added. So we can view the our data that we just added. So right here, in the past, I already added three things, three income, two income and one expense. So right now we have four. That's why we have four. But if you use it for the first time, um, they will show one only lah, because you only added one data. So right here we have four, but uh, right here is the newly added data to our program, the one that we just added, transaction ID. Here it will display their transaction ID, so you can easily understand which one is the oldest and which one is the newest. So we already choose number 2. Now we try number 3 to search. So let's say you forgot what is your uh, what do you want to you try to search something lah. So now when you enter choice number 3, it will also ask for your type of search. In this case is income and expense. So let's try income. So it will automatically display the three all the income data. Yeah, it will display automatically uh, show all the data of income. Yeah. So now we try option number 4. Okay, so now we want to edit. So remember the transaction ID. So right here is the function of the transaction ID, which is we can uh, differentiate between the data. So let's say let's see here, I want to change transaction ID number 1, because this is in Bahasa Melayu. So let's change it into English. So I will type here transaction ID number 1. So it will ask for the new type. I will put the same income amount 1,500. The description, we will change it to, okay, January salary. January salary. So after we press enter, it will say transaction updated. Now let's see if our newly edited our newly edited data is updated or not. So we will press 2 to see the our data. So now the transaction ID number 1 is already from Bahasa Melayu. It's already changes to English. So I think that's all. And if if you want to exit the program, we can just press 5 and enter. Now it's program has ended. So that's all from me. I think there is nothing else. So thank you.